A doctor's 30-year journey helping men reclaim their strength. I'll never forget the day Harold shuffled into my practice. At 64, this former construction foreman who once commanded job sites and lifted steel beams now struggled to climb a single flight of stairs without getting winded. His wife had practically dragged him to see me. "Doc, I just don't feel like myself anymore," he said, slumping into the chair across from my desk. "I'm tired all the time. My joints ache, and honestly, things just don't work the way they used to, if you know what I mean." I knew exactly what he meant. In my 30 years of helping men over 60, I've heard these same words thousands of times. Harold's story isn't unique. It's heartbreakingly common. What broke my heart wasn't just Harold's condition. It was knowing that most of his problems came from 9 simple mistakes that almost every man makes after turning 60. Mistakes that speed up aging like pressing the fast-forward button on life itself. Harold had been making all 9 of these mistakes without even realizing it. His doctor had told him this was normal aging and handed him a prescription. But I knew better. I'd seen too many men transform their lives by simply avoiding these common pitfalls. You see, after 3 decades in practice, I've learned something most doctors won't tell you. The difference between men who stay strong and vibrant after 60 and those who fade away isn't genetics, luck, or expensive treatments. It's about avoiding these 9 critical mistakes that act like invisible thieves, stealing your energy, strength, and vitality day by day. Harold made every single one of these mistakes. His morning routine was killing his energy before breakfast. His evening habits were robbing him of deep, healing sleep. The foods he thought were healthy were actually making him weaker. Even his exercise routine, the one his previous doctor recommended, was doing more harm than good. But here's what gives me hope after all these years. When men like Harold learn to avoid these mistakes, the transformation is nothing short of remarkable. Within weeks, they start feeling more like their old selves. Within months, their wives start asking what changed. Within a year, they're often in better shape than men half their age. I've seen 70-year-olds outperform 40-year-olds on the golf course. I've watched grandfathers keep up with their grandchildren at the playground. I've witnessed marriages rekindled and dreams pursued that had been abandoned for years. The 9 mistakes I'm about to share with you aren't complicated medical mysteries. They're simple, everyday choices that seem harmless but compound over time, like interest on a loan you never meant to take out. Most men over 60 still eat breakfast like they did when they were 18, coffee, toast, maybe some cereal. But your body at 60 needs fuel that builds strength, not sugar that creates crashes. I remember Tom, a 68-year-old retired teacher. Every morning he'd have his usual bowl of heart-healthy cereal with milk and a glass of orange juice. By 10 a.m. he'd be ready for a nap. His blood sugar was riding a roller coaster, and his energy was paying the price. After 60, many men become afraid of their own bodies. They stop lifting anything heavy, avoid challenging activities, and treat themselves like they're fragile. This is exactly backward. Your muscles need challenge to stay strong, just like your mind needs puzzles to stay sharp. Most men don't realize they're walking around with invisible irritation burning inside their bodies, like a slow fire. It starts in your gut, spreads through your bloodstream, and shows up as joint pain, fatigue, and brain fog. The worst part? The foods you think are healthy might be feeding this fire. "I only need 5 hours," men tell me proudly, as if sleep were a weakness. But after 60, quality sleep becomes even more important than it was when you were young. It's when your body repairs itself, your brain cleans out toxins, and your energy reserves refill. Chronic stress after 60 isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. It ages you faster than smoking, drinking, and poor diet combined. Yet most men just accept stress as normal and never learn simple ways to turn off their body's alarm system. The exercise routines that worked at 30 can actually hurt you at 60. Long cardio sessions, high-impact activities, and no pain, no gain. Thinking can leave you injured and exhausted instead of strong and energized. Your digestive system is like the engine of a car. When it's running poorly, everything else suffers. Most men over 60 have gut problems they don't even recognize, and it's affecting their energy, mood, sleep, and even their thinking. Dehydration after 60 doesn't just make you thirsty, it makes you tired, foggy, and weak. But it's not just about drinking more water. It's about helping your body actually use the water you drink. The biggest mistake of all is believing that feeling tired, weak, and unwell is just part of getting older. It's not. I've seen too many men reclaim their vitality to believe that anymore. Let me tell you about Robert's transformation. At 63, this former athlete couldn't walk around the block without pain. He'd been told his best days were behind him. But once we addressed these 9 mistakes, everything changed. We started with his morning routine. Instead of sugary cereal, Robert began his day with eggs, avocado, and berries, foods that gave him steady energy instead of sugar crashes. Within a week, his morning brain fog lifted. Next, we tackled his fear of movement. Robert had been babying a sore knee for years, barely walking. We started with simple strength exercises that supported his joints instead of stressing them. The knee pain that had plagued him for 3 years disappeared in a month. The irritation issue took longer to address, but the results were dramatic. We identified foods that were triggering his body's alarm system, foods he'd eaten his whole life without problems. When he removed them, his joint stiffness melted away, his sleep improved, and his energy soared. After watching thousands of men make these same 9 mistakes, I developed what I call the Vitality Reset, a natural approach that addresses each mistake systematically. Think of your body like a garden that's been neglected. You can't fix everything overnight, but when you start giving it the right conditions, proper nutrients, appropriate movement, adequate rest, it begins to flourish again, often beyond what you thought possible. The foundation of my approach is surprisingly simple. Instead of adding more pills, supplements, or complicated routines to your life, we focus on removing the things that are working against you and replacing them with natural solutions your body actually wants. For morning energy, imagine your metabolism like a campfire. Sugar-based breakfasts are like throwing paper on the fire. They create a big flame that burns out quickly. But protein and healthy fats are like putting solid logs on the fire. They burn steady and strong all morning long. For movement, I teach men to think of their bodies like classic cars. You don't garage a classic car and never drive it. That's how parts seize up and systems fail. But you also don't race it like it's brand new. You drive it regularly, maintain it carefully, and it can run beautifully for decades. For sleep, we create what I call a landing sequence. Just like a pilot follows specific steps to land safely, your body needs specific signals to transition into deep, restorative sleep. Most men are trying to go from 60 mph to full stop without any transition. The irritation issue requires detective work. We identify your personal trigger foods, the ones that make your body think it's under attack. It's different for every man, but once you find them and remove them, it's like taking off a heavy backpack you didn't realize you were carrying. Managing stress becomes easier when you understand that your body command center is like a car's gas pedal and brake pedal. Most men over 60 have their foot stuck on the gas pedal. Learning to use the brake, through simple breathing techniques and relaxation practices, can transform how you feel within days. The exercise approach focuses on what I call intelligent movement. Instead of exhausting workouts that leave you drained, we use targeted activities that make you feel energized and strong. Think of it like tuning a guitar. Small, precise adjustments create beautiful music. Harold, the construction foreman I mentioned at the beginning, followed this approach for 6 months. The transformation was remarkable, but not surprising to me. I'd seen it hundreds of times before. His energy returned first. Within 2 weeks, he was waking up refreshed instead of dragging himself out of bed. His wife noticed he stopped falling asleep in his chair after dinner. His strength came back gradually but steadily. After 3 months, he was helping his son with home improvement projects again, something he hadn't done in years. But the change that made him tear up in my office was more personal. "Doc," he said, "I feel like a man again, not just physically, but in every way. My wife and I, well, let's just say she's happy too." That's what happens when you stop making these 9 mistakes. You don't just avoid decline, you actually reverse it. Your body remembers how to be strong, energetic, and vital. It just needed someone to remove the obstacles that were standing in its way. I've been privileged to witness thousands of these transformations over 3 decades of practice. Men who thought their best years were behind them discovered they were actually just getting started. You have the same opportunity. Your age is just a number. What matters is how you take care of the magnificent machine that is your body. Stop making these 9 mistakes. Give your body what it actually needs and prepare to be amazed by what's possible. The choice is yours. You can accept decline as inevitable, or you can take action and reclaim the vitality that's waiting for you. Dr. Catherine Morgan, Men's Vitality Specialist. Take care of yourself. Dr. Catherine Morgan, Men's Vitality Specialist.